Another week of Grand Slam sports. I'm Jay Sach.
I'm Charles Foster.
I'm Sam Gailey.
We'll begin things once again with the Monday Night Football game, the Saints and the Chiefs. The Chiefs getting the win 26-13 in a somewhat defensive game, guys, but the Chiefs 5-0.
I mean, yeah, the Saints' miracle run kind of starting to look like it's coming to an end. They're playing against some actual good defenses now, and they no longer really look like that amazing, 40 points a game team that they did at the start of the year. A little bit disappointing to see, but the Chiefs doing what the Chiefs do.
I honestly think it was sort of a defensive setback for the New Orleans Saints. I think that they couldn't really stop the run. The run opened up a lot of things because when you drop one of those safeties in the box, it sort of leads you vulnerable to that over-the-top ball a little bit, some crossing routes as well. I think Mahomes is just too good to try and keep him in the pocket.
How about some veteran guys? Kareem Hunt, 102 yards on the ground. Juju Smith-Schuster, 130 receiving yards. We're seeing some guys we haven't heard from in a while have some good days for the Chiefs.
Absolutely, and that's going to have to be something that the Chiefs are going to have to kind of work on a little bit more because they won't have Rice. He's now been confirmed to be out for the season. So not having Rice now, you kind of have to go a little bit more towards those veterans, those players are going to have to step up.
I think that you really need to sort of not completely lean on some veteran guys, but you also have to lean on Pat Mahomes a little bit. You saw him take off a couple times. You saw him look down the field. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, the Pats caught him. My Patriots caught him because he was absolute. But then he goes out and he shows like primetime Juju Smith-Schuster with God knows how many catches. And I was sitting there on my TV wondering like, oh my God, like where was this guy? So I think it's sort of, for the Chiefs, it's going to be finding out every single week of finding ways to win. I think that's really important.
So the Chiefs are one of two undefeated teams in the NFL. Now looking at the Thursday Night Football game last night, the San Francisco 49ers getting the win against NFC West division rival Seattle Seahawks, 36-24, the final score in that one. Guys, thoughts on this one?
I mean, we were just talking about the run game, and to me, this right here shows how potent that run offense can be for a 49ers team that their offense looked good. I mean, Deebo Samuel over 100 yards, but having your rookie running back in Isaac Guerrero running for 99 yards, Jordan Mason running for 92. I mean, this is a team that they showed that they're without CMC, they're still very potent.
I don't think that was the story of this game, Charles. I think it was the turnover battle for Seattle. 2 interceptions, 1 lost fumble. I think that, honestly, that's 3 possessions gone straight off the bat. I think it wasn't really about San Francisco at all. I mean, Guerrero had 1 run for 50-plus yards. You cut that out, he only has 40 yards, which is honestly is pretty good for playing half the game. I think for Seattle, I think it was just a loss of opportunities. Geno Smith towards the end sort of got a little crazy when it came to trying to make a play happen. DK Metcalf tapped his toe out of bounds. That's 7 points right there instead of taking 3. I think Seattle actually had this game for a lot of the time, and I think they threw it away.
Well, San Fran, after their rough start, they're now 3-3, and they lead the NFC West division. And Brock Purdy may be an MVP candidate. We'll get to that maybe. But let's go ahead and look at our MVP candidates this season, beginning with you, Charles. Who do you got?
Me personally, I know it may sound like beating a dead horse, but I mean, Lamar Jackson. I definitely think that Lamar Jackson, he's top 5 currently right now in passing yards. He's top 10 in rushing yards in all categories, including running backs. I mean, Lamar Jackson is just the definition of doing it all. And I think that, yes, the team did struggle in the beginning, but they're starting to, kind of take form. I think that with Derrick Henry as well, they're going to be a lot better. And I think you're going to start to see Lamar Jackson looking even more like Lamar Jackson. I got him going back-to-back.
Sam?
I got man going to another Sam. From a Sam, I got Sam Darnold with a 5-0 Minnesota Vikings going into this weekend. He's looked good. A typical journeyman quarterback went into the Vikings behind J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy gets injured. Now I feel like it's Sam Darnold's team to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, he's looked good. He's had multiple touchdown games where he's thrown. He hasn't made a lot of mistakes. And he's one of those game managers where the Vikings, they need a game manager right now. And he's winning.
I mean, to me, I think it's hard to kind of put a game manager at MVP.
Yeah.
Though. That's my personal opinion.
But we talked about Brock Purdy, though. Remember when Brock Purdy came on the scene?
And I was against Brock Purdy as well, personally.
Well, my guy is not a game manager. This guy's a game changer, C.J. Stroud. This guy had a great game against Buffalo on Sunday, and the Texans, they look good. I mean, albeit the injuries, because now no Nico Collins for at least 4 weeks. We still have Stephon Diggs. You still have Tank Dell, you still have that threat of the offense, and Stroud has looked nothing but phenomenal in his second season so far, guys.
And yeah, no, I definitely agree with C.J. Stroud. I'm not against C.J. Stroud. I think his weapons really help a lot. And I think that's another reason why I'm such a fan of Lamar is, yes, he does have the weapons, but when it comes to some receiving threats with Mark Andrews not being there as much, I think that what he's doing with what he has been like, his receivers are not insanely good. They're just solid receivers. I mean, other than Zay Flowers, none of them are really star level. So I think that Lamar Jackson able to do with what he's doing with what he has is what puts him above a C.J. Stroud who has weapons galore everywhere, and what puts him above a Sam Darnold that I would say it's more his team that's the reason why they're good. More than
you can make an argument about Sam Darnold only having one good wide receiver as well. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison not really doing as much as we thought he would. T.J. Hawkinson's out. Aaron Jones came over from Green Bay. He doesn't have a lot of weapons to work with, per se. I mean, you feed the ball to Justin Jefferson, but you can make a point that Zay Flowers is that for Baltimore. I think Sam Darnold story tracks a little more. He's been to 4 or 5 different teams, and now he's found his home. Not saying Lamar, but Lamar has sort of on a higher pedestal. If he doesn't win anything this year, then he might be labeled a bust, where Sam Darnold, I think, is sort of the underdog story for me.
You know, a guy I don't see on here that we didn't pick, who's currently the odds-on favorite to win MVP, is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, obviously, he hasn't had the greatest seasons, but he's still Patrick Mahomes. He's still the best quarterback in the NFL.
And see, the reason why I'm against that personally is just I feel like his turnover rate has not been amazing. He's averaging almost a pick a game. Once again, that voters fatigue, they say it's not real, it's real. And that's another reason why I was kind of scared about Lamar, but I think that Lamar's stats do speak for himself with him being top 10 in almost every single stat that he can be top 10 in or top 5. But to me, Patrick Mahomes, other than his team being good right now, he has not done enough to separate himself, especially not to be number 1 to me.
All right. In agreement on that one, we'll go ahead and look at the coaching carousel. Robert Saleh getting fired, your head coach, the first head coach down this season as the Jets fall to 2-3 on the loss to the Vikings in London. But guys, I want to ask you, what other coaches do you think are on the hot seat that might get fired here soon? That
man right there. Doug Peterson, I mean, I think he just needs to go. I think that this is way too talented of a Jags team to currently be in 1-4. This Jags team on paper is phenomenal. I mean, their receiving core, fantastic. Trevor Lawrence, he's fine. Trevor Etienne and Tank Bigsby are fantastic running backs. Defensively, there's something to work on, but this is a great team when it comes to on paper. I think that right now, if you're going to blame anyone, you got to blame the coach, you got to blame the play calling. If someone like Saleh's getting fired, I definitely think Peterson will be next.
I think there's, at least for Jacksonville anyways, how much of it is on the coach? He's not out there making the throw. He's not making him make the decision. Trevor Lawrence has not looked good. He has not looked good. And who do we need to score the points? The quarterback. He can play the call. He can call the play, right? But he can audible out of it. It's his job to read the defense. For me, I don't think Doug Peterson is going to get fired this season. I think they're going to wait till the offseason. But if the Jags continue to struggle, I think it's more going to be the conversation of, is Trevor Lawrence for me?
Yeah, I think if they had lost the Colts last week, I think he was gone. I think that was it for him. Obviously, the Colts being the Colts, they lost in Jacksonville 10 straight years in that drought. Not a fun time for me. But I think a guy that could get fired here soon is Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia. Because obviously he has that insane roster with the Eagles, Hurts, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, and the defense, basically the Georgia Bulldogs defense at times, as good as many players as they have from that school. But they have probably the best roster built in the NFL, and he just can't figure it out with them.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that we see this very commonly. Like some teams, you come in and you just have more expectations than others. I mean, that's just the way that coaching goes. And I think that Sirianni has not lived up to those expectations. And I do believe that they definitely won't go far away from him if they can make the playoffs this year. But like if their playoff terms or playoff contention is cut, I think that they will drop Sirianni and go somewhere else.
I think personally Philadelphia is really struggling with a sense of identity in their offense. What is Sirianni good at? Is he an offensive guy or a defensive guy? You don't know. Most of these head coaches are Saleh, defensive-minded, Belichick, defensive-minded. You can really sit here and be like, hey, he has a playbook, basically. He has a style of running. He has a style of passing patterns. He doesn't have that. He's just sort of a game manager, and he sort of stands there on the sideline with you guys completely 100%. He needs to go.
And my kind of follow-up question to you guys, I mean, obviously I'm a Jets fan. I have my opinions on it. But with Saleh being sacked, what are your thoughts on that? What do you think? Do you think that losing Robert Saleh was the play here?
I don't think it was yet. I mean, obviously 2-3 with the expectations you guys had coming into this season. Supposed to be, you know, AFC East contenders, playoff contender. You're 2-3, but it feels kind of early. You're playing an undefeated Vikings team who is hot. It was going to be a tough game no matter what. And to let him go this soon without seeing what you can do down the rest of down like the midseason portions, I feel like it was too early.
He's definitely going to find a defensive coordinator job by the end of this year. I guarantee it. And you can say that like the Jets defense not up to par just yet, but like you said, it's so early. It's so early for me. I think it was the wrong decision too early for me.
And like obviously, like my opinion, I think that I am a big fan of our interim coach. I think he's a fantastic, our defensive coordinator, Ulrich. He does a fantastic job. However, I feel like if we were going to be going away from Saleh, we needed to also go away from Hackett. That was just my personal opinion on it. I think that to me, it's wrong to blame a team that's struggling finding an offensive identity and fire their defensive-minded coach. To me, that doesn't make much sense. But I also kind of like it at the same time because this is 3-4 years of the Jets having a fantastic roster, and people are just like, there's always an excuse. Oh, we're 2-3, but it's early. Oh, we're this, but you know, we didn't have Aaron Rodgers. There's no more excuse anymore. Woody Johnson made it very clear, there is no more excuse. You're gone now. I like it personally.
A coach that we did not mention was Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns, because we're going to go into them now. And do they blow things up? They're 1-4. Watson does not look like Watson. The Browns, they don't look like the Browns. It's just been a rough year for Cleveland so far.
I mean, I think that not having Chubb hurts, but like at the same time, like they also have to be willing to admit we made a mistake. Deshaun Watson is not the guy that you thought he was. I thought he was that guy too. I personally, Deshaun Watson was one of my favorite players before his allegations. So with him being in his situation, I personally think they just need to be ready to like, hey, Deshaun Watson's not that good. Move on.
And they have Jameis Winston awaiting in the shadows, who is a viable starting quarterback in the NFL, who I think might be better than Watson at this time.
Watson looks scared. Watson looks scared in the pocket. I think he's been away from football for quite some time. You can tell by the way he plays. He's scared to run. When he played for the Texans, he used to run. He used to run. He was like a Lamar-esque, not saying he's Lamar, but he can definitely pick up some yardage with his legs. Think of like a Jaden Daniels type runner where he runs when he has to. He looks scared. He looks indecisive, and the Cleveland Browns look bad.
And their one win was over the 1-4 Jaguars, and they've lost to teams like the Giants, the Raiders, the Commanders, albeit they're pretty good this year, and the Cowboys. It's just, at this point, do they just have to rebuild?
Agreed. Yeah. No, rebuild. Get the pick this year. Go for a quarterback. This is a pretty solid quarterback, I think, draft class. Jameis Winston's not going to be a quarterback of the future. No. Deshaun Watson's not going to be a quarterback of the future. I think that with a lot of these top teams not going for quarterback this year, me personally, I might be going quarterback if I'm in the Brown situation here. If you're starting to rebuild, you have to start at the quarterback position. To me, that's where they start.
We'll see if the Browns can't get back on track. 1-4, they play Philadelphia in an interesting matchup this weekend. But we're going to go ahead now and do our pick our 6 games of the week, and we'll begin with the game in London, the Jaguars and the Bears. Sam, we'll begin with you.
Got the Jags here. I think they're coming off a fresh win at the Colts. I think they're going to find their footing here. Travis Etienne looked good. Trevor Lawrence looked like Trevor Lawrence. Definitely shelling it out. And they're going to win because one man only, wide receiver 1, Brian Thomas Jr. Love it.
I'm going to go with the Bears here. They looked good last week. They're 3-2 now. The NFC North looks pretty good this season, guys. I'm going to go Chicago, Caleb Williams in London. The Jaguars, yes, I think they're getting back on track. Not yet. The Bears defense is going to give Thomas Jr. some fits, I think.
I think that the Jags, yes, like you said, are getting back on track, but they're also in London. For some reason, they play better in London.
That is true.
I'm taking the London Jaguars, taking this one.
The London Jaguars. On to the Commanders and Ravens, on to our 1 p.m. games. And Charles, will begin with you. And this is a pretty good matchup now.
This one was hard. This one was really hard. I was really close to taking the Commanders, but I'm going to go with the Ravens. I just think they're the better team. I think that Jaden Daniels his inexperience is going to show.
Yeah. Against Cincinnati last weekend, that Ravens defense did not show up. Jaden Daniels averaging heck of a yards on the ground, a couple of touchdowns a game through the air. I think Jaden Daniels is going to shock everybody here.
This is like Lamar Jackson versus a mini Lamar Jackson. It's kind of crazy to watch. Brother, right? But I'm going to go with a guy who's been in the league longer. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I just trust them more. The Commanders, I think they're going to be a playoff team this year, but in Baltimore, I don't give them a chance. So we're going to go ahead and head to an NFC South matchup, the Bucks and the Saints. And that division's kind of topsy-turvy. We can't really figure out who's the top team in that division, the Bucks, the Saints, the Falcons. But I'm going to begin this one and pick the New Orleans Saints and Spencer Rattler to get the win. It's Rattler this weekend because Derek Carr is hurt. I'm going to take them over the Bucks.
I hate that we agree because I thought I'd be the underdog in this one. I got Rattler season.
Yeah.
I personally think that this team is they're gonna look a lot different with a younger quarterback, and I think that they're just gonna slightly beat out Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers.
Baker looked good last week, guys. I gotta go Tampa Bay here. Alvin Kamara listed as questionable as well. If Alvin Kamara doesn't play, that's gonna pose a lot of problems. I mean, you got Jameson Williams, not Jameson Williams. This is the other running back from Detroit. But I think the Bucks take this one. I think Spencer Rattler, couple interceptions, turnover battle, Bucks.
Let's run through these last three real quick. The Steelers and the Raiders. Sam, begin with you in this one.
For me, I have the Steelers here. I think it's going to be a bounce-back game. I think Russell Wilson's projected to step in, play this game. I think it's really going to be a telltale sign of who they're going to go with, especially in the future, because if Russell Wilson comes in and it's ineffective, I mean, you've got another quarterback that's decent enough to be able to play. So, I mean, you have two aces in one sleeve for the Steelers.
I'm taking the Steelers as well. Charles?
Taking the Raiders.
Okay.
I think the Raiders.
Aiden O'Connell, interesting.
Now looking at the Lions and Cowboys, a big NFC game. I'll begin this one by picking the Detroit Lions to get the big win here. Sam?
Yeah. There's nothing else to say. I think Lions look good. I think Sam Laporta's going to have a big game, especially those routes over the middle. So
Give me Lions.
Yeah.
And then the Sunday Night Football game, the Bengals and the Giants, two teams looking to get back on track. Charles, begin with you.
Give me Bengals.
Sam?
Bengals.
I'm also taking the Bengals. Clean sweep on this one as we all pick the Bengals to beat the Giants.
Hopefully, man. Jeez.
We'll go ahead now and head into our rookie report of the week. We'll begin with Charles, who goes with the big tight end out of Georgia.
Brock Bowers, the man that I partially hoped that the Jets would get, but at the same time, I've kind of backed off that hype train. However, he's good, and he is a weapon that the Raiders need. A consistent little safety blanket. He put up 8 receptions, 97 yards, and 1 touchdown. As a Brock Bowers fantasy owner, he does fantastic. Brock Bowers, he's one of the best performing tight ends this year, in a year that tight ends have not been
It's been a down year for tight ends for sure.
So Brock Bowers, he looks great, and he really is already kind of, he started off really slow, but he's starting to learn the system, and I think that this has been a bright side for a Raiders team that, in my opinion, has a lot of potential.
You know what's really funny about that? Brock Bowers in one game has more points than Mark Andrews combined in every.
That's crazy.
I have both in fantasy, so.
Charles, you're going to like my pick. I think you're an O-line aficionado. I'm going to go with Zach Frazier, the rookie center for the Pittsburgh Steelers out of West Virginia. This guy's been phenomenal. 95.5% pass block win rate, 20th best in the league, and he started 5 games so far for Pittsburgh. He has been one of the best centers in the NFL in his rookie season.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And center is really important, especially for a mobile quarterback like Justin Fields. He kind of dictates what side Justin Fields is going to be a little bit more open on. And I think that he's done a really good job at freeing Justin Fields and allowing him a little bit more time. And that's really important, especially for a young team like the Steelers.
Especially those A-gaps, making sure those are clear. I think that's huge in the run game.
He's having a great season so far. Sam, will go into your rookie to close things out.
Okay, again, we're going to another football. But I got Endrick from Real Madrid. He's having a great start to his season. La Liga, 7 starts with 1 goal, a lot of goal contributions, a lot of build-up play. People are talking about how he's going to fit into that front three of Vinicius, Mbappe, Rodrigo, and Bellingham, but he's finding his way. 16 years old. Let me remind you, 16 years old, 16, 17 years old. I don't know what you guys are doing when you were 16, 17 years old, but definitely not playing for Real Madrid in Brazil's first team. Yeah. Love the youngster. Ancelotti's high on him as well.
How do you see him fitting in, though, with that front three, obviously, because you have that crazy good front three, the best probably ever almost, with Mbappe, Vinicius, and all that.
I really see one of them leading. That's what I think Endrick was really brought into. He's young, so you can technically say, like, oh, he's a filler player. Like, when you need a spark, you can put him in, stuff like that. I see him as of right now. I think when he hits his 19, 20 as a more mature age, I think that's when they're going to start working him into the starting lineup. And I think a player like Rodrigo leads.
So you think that he stays for the time being?
Stays, yeah.
He stays for the
100%.
time?
Or he gets loaned out for more reps.
16-year-old shining at the best club in the world. Crazy scenes. But we're going to go ahead and head into the MLB playoffs. A lot to get into with myself and Charles next up on Grand Slam Sports. You've got to love October. Baseball playoffs are in full swing, Charles, and some very good division series so far, beginning with the Tigers and the Guardians going to a Game 5 on Saturday. Going to be a great matchup in Cleveland.
We were so close. So close to getting the Tigers moving on. They had the lead for a lot of that game. I truly thought the Tigers could close it out. Just not enough. The Guardians take that game last night, and now they will have the chance to close it out at Progressive Field tomorrow.
With Tariq Skubal pitching.
That will be, I think, the biggest interesting thing. Tariq Skubal, in my opinion, Cy Young winner, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that this is a team in the Guardians that do not hit well against lefties. And I think it'd be really interesting to see how they do against Skubal.
If you look back at game 2, he pitched also at Progressive Field in Cleveland. No runs allowed.
Yeah.
It was 0-0 until the 9th when the Tigers got a 3-run shot to close that one out. So if you look at game 5, Charles, who's going to win this?
I mean, if Skubal's pitching, I will always say the Tigers. I'll say that even if they go on to the next series, if Skubal's pitching, Tigers. I mean, to me, he is the best pitcher in the AL. He's the best pitcher left in the playoffs, in my opinion, as well. I think that Skubal, he is doing exactly what we expected of him. He was injured for a lot of his early career, but this man is good. And I think that it's going to be very, very intriguing to see how he plays against a pretty solid Guardians team.
And the question is, can the Tigers offense show up and get hits off the Guardians pitcher is going to be Boyd on Saturday. How do you see the Tigers offense doing against him?
I think the Tigers offense has really been their biggest downfall. I mean, their pitching has been really good, but their offense is really streaky. There go some innings where they are, good, and then some innings where not so much. And I think that as well, we're also seeing a team in the Guardians that is also very streaky. I mean, they went, I want to say 19 innings plus with not a single run.
They did.
And that is bad. That is really bad in the playoffs. So it's, now they're going against Skubal after hitting pretty solid last night. They're going against Skubal tomorrow. How will they play against him? I think that'd be the biggest thing. I think the Tigers would do a little pretty good, though.
The winner of this game on Saturday will have a quick turnaround going to New York as the Yankees got the 3-1 series win over the Royals, finishing that one out last night 3-1 in Kansas City. Let's go Yanks.
It's a sad day as a Blue Jays fan, but I respect the Yankees. I like this Yankees team. I think they're a very fun team. The bringing in of Jazz Chisholm at third base has done wonders for them. I mean, he's been really active. I mean, I've not seen someone get hit to so much at the hot corner in a very long time. And I mean, you just have Juan Soto, Aaron Judge. I mean, this is a good team. And the Yankees are finally looking the way that they're supposed to. They could finally do it.
I mean, the Yankees are usually reliant on the long ball, the home run, which they've only hit one of so far in the playoffs. That was Giancarlo Stanton's blast in Game 3. And Judge only has one hit again in the playoffs. His average is about 5%. It's not good.
Yeah.
Judge does not look like a playoff batter. That's been his way the whole career.
Yeah.
Can he fix that?
I mean, that's been the biggest thing. I think some of it is the pressure. I mean, he's one of the few Yankees captains in history, and it's hard for a player to take on that burden, and I do believe it does get to him. He's also going against a Royals team that was notorious for their ERA. They did a fantastic job in opponent home run percentage. They did a fantastic job at keeping the ERA down. Even players like Seth Lugo, who almost led the league in ERA through most of the season, I think that them not hitting that well against the Royals was kind of expected. I think that they're hit a lot better if they go against the Tigers, and especially a lot better if they go against the Guardians. Yeah. I think that we're going to see a brand new team. I think that the Royals, that's just what they do. The Yankees not hitting well, that was expected.
Looking forward for the Royals, though, a big-time season after a 56-win year last season. They're in a good spot.
Bobby Witt Jr. was everything that they paid for, 11 years. I mean, rough, but playoffs for the first time, it can be hard. Yeah. And he's everything that they paid for, everything that they wanted, and he did a fantastic job. The Royals, they're going to be just fine.
We'll move into the other New York team, into the NL side of things. The New York Mets upset the 2-seeded Phillies. The grimace Mets just keep on trucking through.
And I'm going to say it right now. I want this to stare at me whenever I say it. Francisco Lindor was worth every single penny. I have been making this argument for years. I've been a massive Francisco Lindor since his days in Cleveland. I love Francisco Lindor, and he is just so good. He's such a good switch hitter. He's such a good defender, and he proved it by being the hero and pushing them past their rivals.
But do you know who else needs a blank check? Pete Alonso. This guy has been cranking them every game. This guy is a home run machine. And the Mets just look good. I mean, they took down the Phillies, who were probably one of the favorites to win the World Series, as good as they had been this year. And the Phillies, they just can't get over the hump. They lost in the World Series 2 years ago, lost in the CS last year, and then lost in the NLDS this year. It's just a downtrend for Philadelphia.
I think that Philadelphia just has the habit of running into good teams at bad times. I mean, 3 years ago, obviously the Astros were the Astros. It's hard to beat them. But then last year running into that hot Diamondback team. And then this year running into the hottest NL team. I mean, the Mets, they've been hot. Their entire identity this season has been a late season run. So it makes sense that the Phillies, who have lost to multiple late season runs, lose to another one. I mean, and I agree with the Pete Alonso thing. Pay the man. Please do not overthink it. Give him the money. I don't understand why that's even been an argument. Yes, he's not done amazing, but he shows up whenever it matters. And you can, I mean, I think Aaron Judge is a prime example. Aaron Judge is one of the best hitters in the league, but even he doesn't show up all the time in big moments. So the fact that you have someone like Alonso who you know is going to, please give him money.
How long can they stay hot? Is this going to continue to go through all of October?
I mean, we're going to go.
Can they go all the way?
We're going to go into our favorites soon, but I think yes. I think they're going to stay really hot.
New York, New York.
Subway Series.
We'll get into that in a little bit, but let's look at the other NL Series, which is also going to a Game 5, the Dodgers and the Padres, one of the best matchups in baseball right now. Feisty battles.
I will say, cinema. This has been a fun series.
Yes.
I mean, this may honestly be one of the best rivalries in baseball. And I know that we're going to go a little bit more into detail of it, but these two teams hate each other, and I love it.
It's very obvious.
I mean, I love teams that hate each other because it keeps it fun.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you know, the fans need to tone it down a little bit. All right, we cannot be throwing stuff at players, calling them slurs. That's not allowed. But I do love the competitiveness. Yeah. I love the Jurickson Profar and how he was, you know, in the face of fans. I love Fernando Tatis, who he just, you know, Fernando Tatis, he loves to play. And he loves to mess around with fans. I think that this is a fun series.
Yeah, and Mookie Betts had a great Game 4, had a home run, a few RBIs in that one. Shohei Ohtani is showing that he's the truth. Even in the playoffs, he had the home run, I believe, in Game 2. And the Dodgers just keep fighting in the series. They keep losing, but they keep fighting right back and getting back on top. It's going to be a great Game 5 in LA tonight.
I think it's going to be really interesting. I think the hot bats will prevail. I personally have the Dodgers stealing this one. I think the biggest issue with the Dodgers has been their runs. Like, they allow the Padres to go on 4 or 5 run innings. The other day, me and my roommate, we were watching the game, and we left to go get Sonic. Came back 30 minutes, I want to say it was like 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, and it was 6-1. We left at 0-0. And so it was like, it's just those problems that the Dodgers have. You can't have that happen.
Yeah. But now I want to go in more detail now about, is this the best current rivalry in all of baseball? I mean, we've seen the fans getting into it, obviously everything else on the field, but the teams are also getting into it a lot, Dodgers and Padres. You see right there, you got guys like Tatis and Profar just chirping at the fans.
I personally think this is the best rivalry in baseball right now. I think that the days of the Yankees-Red Sox being the best rivalry is over. I think the Yankees are just far and away better than the Red Sox. And I think that Boston fans, at least baseball-wise, have a lot of respect. Yes, they hate the Yankees, but I feel like there is a respect and maturity there that they're not doing that.
No, it's true, that's fair.
These are people in the same state that hate each other. I mean, these California fans, they go at it. And I think that it's really intriguing to kind of see, because you see players like Manny Machado, who's a former Dodger, who has been the same way. I think that it makes it really fun because, like you said, the players are getting into it.
Oh, I mean, you watch back at Game 2 in LA, it's just, like you said, cinema. You could write a movie about just this series, all the things that have happened in the series. But now as we head into a Game 5 in LA, the pitcher battle is Darvish versus Yamamoto. Sorry. Hard name to pronounce. But who do you got in Game 5? Who's going to come out of the series and face the Mets?
Number one, pretty cool thing. One of the first times that we've seen 2 Japanese pitchers go at each other in a playoff game. Very interesting. But Yamamoto, he concerns me. He is literally the pitcher that I'm talking about that's known for giving up runs. I'm still taking the Dodgers because they're the better team right now. But if Yamamoto comes out and does not start off strong, the Padres very well could take this game.
I would love to see a Padres-Mets in LCS. I'm taking San Diego because, like you said, Yamamoto, I just don't trust him in this scenario. But I want to go into our World Series prediction now, the Subway Series.
Subway Series.
Yankees,
100%.
Mets. I'm picking the Yankees, obviously, as a Yankees fan. This has got to be the year for 28. Got to be the year. But the Mets are red hot, and we are this close to a rematch of the 2000 World Series, a Battle of New York.
I think the Subway Series not only would just be the best script, I think it'd be fun. I mean, who doesn't want a good old-fashioned New York versus New York cross town? I mean, that sounds really fun.
Get ready to see 10 home runs a game.
Yeah, but I think as well, these are the 2 hottest/best teams. Like, actually talent-wise, yes, a Dodgers and Yankees World Series would be the most star-studded, but I don't know. The Mets, to me, they seem like an actual better team than the Dodgers.
And, I mean, the Mets have been hot. I mean, obviously, before Grimace, they were horrible. After Grimace, for some reason, I keep on the track because it's hilarious, but it's true. Right after Grimace, they turned the switch and they just became the best team in baseball. I mean, they have one of the best records of baseball since that happened.
Yeah.
And they just seem on the track for the World Series.
Agreed.
I don't see either the Padres or Dodgers beating them in the NLCS. And the Yankees, if they fall to the Tigers or Guardians, that's just surprising.
Yeah, and the biggest question to me is, you know, with the Mets, they're hard to take out because they do a really good job at contact hitting, but once those people on base, Alonso or Lindor up, they're hitting it, or even JD Martinez. I mean, this is a good hitting team.
We'll see if we can have a Subway Series World Series. Absolute cinema. As a Yankees fan, I pray that is true, and the Yankees win that series. But that'll be all today from Grand Slam Sports. My name's Jay Hodge. That's Charles Foster. I'll join you again next Friday.